Welcome back. In the post-9/11 world, we've experienced an explosion of surveillance and an erosion of privacy. And for many Americans, they were okay with that. But then a curtain was pulled back in many ways when Edward Snowden, he leaked a trove of information about huge surveillance here, and he lent it out to the press. Now, we're not going to get into debate about Snowden. Me and Andrew disagree. I'm not as fond of his methods and how he got there, but nonetheless here, it certainly has changed public opinion. That information appears to have chipped away at the blanket confidence the public had, which was basically, hey, do what you got to do post 9/11. Now, just go 2 years ago. In 2011, 40% of the public said they felt that the government does a good job when it comes to protecting privacy. That number has dropped to 34%. And the public isn't so crazy about government surveillance overall. Majority, 56%, oppose the NSA's collection of telephone records for future investigations, even if they do not include actual conversations. And again, more than half, 54%, oppose the government's collection of retention of internet metadata for future investigations, even again, if that data doesn't include actual email content. And Michael, start with you on this one. That line, and we never really had a national debate about this. I remember tips and total information awareness and all those things that came out of it. It was basically do what you got to do in the aftermath of 9/11 with the Patriot Act and everything else. We'll figure this out after the smoke clears. Smoke never really seemed to clear. But the Fourth Amendment and the reinterpretation, you got a Democratic president going just as far as his predecessor did on this, so it isn't even about politics. You personally, are you comfortable with as much of a seemingly blank check as any administration, but the government has when it comes to our privacy?
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, we all struggle between liberty and security. I think, again, in a post-9/11 world, we would make that trade-off. And you look at the advances the government's made in the last 10 years with things like facial recognition software that they use in airports and the like and take it around. But there's no question that what they're using it for is the detection of anomalous behavior. And I think it's a big data analytic problem set. What they do is they take the behavior patterns of people's emails and just to from CC, BCC, not the content, and what they're doing is they're trying to find when those patterns become different and become changed. Same thing business is doing with Wall Street to try to find rogue and anomalous traders. They're targeting foreign nationals. They're not doing with U.S. citizens. The bottom line is this. We should use all the tools we have in the toolbox in order to try to tease out these potential terrorist threats, because that's where they're coming from. They're not going to be coming from nation states that are going to attack us from over the horizon. They're going to be cyber attacks. We've got to be well prepared to do that, and we do that through the types of
The guy to your right disagrees.
We talked about overreaction militarily after 9/11. This is where we've overreacted. And from the get-go, from the Patriot Act on forward, the erosion of rights, the lack of a requirement that you're innocent until proven guilty, or that there's even reasonable cause, reasonable doubt for the government to start investigating you. These tools that they have are excellent, but of course they're being misused. We've already heard that the NSA is using some of these materials to spy on their ex-girlfriends and ex-boyfriends. There are people being stopped at the borders, American citizens who are being stopped at the borders, having their computers and having their iPads confiscated without any evidence, without any reason, without any probable cause.
But Andrew,
it has gone way too far.
But the government does have to work very hard. With everybody having an iPhone today, with Foursquare, you check in 5 times a day where I am located. I take a picture at Grand Central Station. That's posted on the internet someplace.
But there's a difference between push and pull. If you want to push that out on the world, that's fine. If the government's pulling it for their own purposes, that's of much greater concern to me. Look, I want the government to stop the threats too. I want the government to keep us safe. But
how will they do that job?
It's more difficult. Their job has to be more difficult.
No, but I'm not going to let you get away that easy.
Okay.
There are agents out there that have to get the job done. And if there's another attack in America, God forbid, we all are going to want to know why. So they don't have the luxury of saying...
To be fair, Dominic, we've had this debate in this country before. And for people who remember the Church Commission, one of the things they found out was when you give unchecked power to FBI, back in the day, they didn't think Dr. King was that, necessarily terrific an American at the time, and they did blanket surveillance on him without warrant or anything else. And we said at the time, wait a minute, if you just decide that you can unilaterally decide who is enemies of state, who makes that judgment? Now, we've said in the NYPD, you're in a mosque, basically, you're a questionable practice. Now, not too many people are screaming about that, right? But nonetheless, are you comfortable with that? That
No,
Jew
I'm
and
not-
Catholic,
I'm
you're
not.
okay. Muslim, not so
I'm
much.
not, but I have no problem with law enforcement officials. I don't have a problem with them, frankly, going through my emails. I mean, I know I'm taking it way over the cliff
Well,
here.
they're stopping and frisking you. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. It's just because of a group affiliation that you become targeted and more suspicious.
But all I'm trying to say is, and Mike, I know you want to come in on this. All I'm trying to say is that agents don't have the luxury that we do of just sitting back criticizing. They have to get the job done. So how do we propose they get the job done if they don't have the intelligence?
What I like to do is let's keep this conversation going on the other side. When we come back from the break, we're going to keep this going. I know Mike's been waiting to jump on Andrew on this one. So the conversation of where are the trade-offs that we're willing to make? And maybe you say, hey, have we been attacked since 9/11? Good enough for me. From some others, that doesn't cut it. We'll be right back after this to keep it going.